together so you're safe. So
20 seconds to air. 20 seconds to air.
beautiful. 20 seconds. This is a cool mic, man. I like this.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. And
You have to go over all the significance of all your icons here.
It's so cool. There's so much history in here.
there's a lot.
Maybe add something every week and give a little
We can bring stuff
Welcome to the Bear Facts on Guns, where host Derek Baer and his guests are locked and loaded to educate, inspire, and yes, answer your questions about firearms. Today, we're going to tackle gun violence in your town. Ready, aim. Derek.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tom, always a pleasure to have you on the show again.
Much obliged. You're good here.
Yeah, how's your weeks? You had a whole bunch of training weeks that you had going on, and how was
We're
your...
getting a lot of private instruction.
Fantastic.
A lot of folks, who can't line up their time with some of our classes.
Uh-huh.
They're seeking me out, and we're just doing a lot of those.
That's awesome.
And that's great. Yeah.
Have you had any aha moments in your classes with private? Because private's very different than obviously you have a group of people. Private is, how many people do you have in those private classes? Just one?
Yeah, no, the privates it could be a couple people, it could be a family.
Uh-huh.
I mean, after 5 people, it ceases to be a private, then
Sure.
it becomes a group shoot. So
I like group shoots.
Yeah.
So any aha moments that you can speak on that was kind of a segue of everything that's been, talked about, anything that's really kind of set in people's minds that you've been training that's kind of like constant, like, hey, let me reiterate this, that has been that moment of clarity for people?
I'll give you my most inspiring private lesson of the last week. And there was a young man came in with his grandfather.
Okay.
Actually, grandfather brought in a 14-year-old, and the young man is going to a military school come fall. And the grandfather, being of sound mind and wisdom, said, I want my grandson to know how to shoot a rifle.
Beautiful.
So he brought in his scoped rifle with, it was 22, bolt action. And we went ahead and we started zeroing in. And the way we usually do it for a young person like that with the optics he had, I think he had a 3x9 and about a 40 millimeter objective lens.
Nice.
That's Don's stuff.
Okay? Yeah.
All right.
That was cool.
But anyway, I start him out. We shoot 3 rounds. We take a look. I have him shoot another 3 rounds and another little target, all on the same big piece of paper. And then we take a look. And I look for patterns.
Uh-huh.
And he was shooting probably within a golf ball size group at 25 yards. And if you zero your rifle out at 25, then that's good for 200. That's a 200-yard zero.
Gotcha.
At 50 yards, that's a 300-yard zero.
Gotcha.
Okay. So a young man is shooting, and he's doing everything. We discussed the 7 points of contact when shooting at the bench. And I don't let him use a rest. That's too easy. That's one thing the deer hunters do. They use a rest.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but you're not going to have the rest on a deer stand. So you got to train like you're going to shoot. So the 7 points of contact, we went over. Grip on the fore end of the stock. You got your grip around the neck of the stock. On the trigger grip, you got your cheek weld. You got your shoulder, elbow, and feet.
Yep.
Pointed off in that direction if you're a right-handed shooter.
Nice.
Luckily, he was right-handed and right-eye dominant. Sometimes we run into folks who are the opposite, and they got to learn how to shoot with a rifle on the other side.
Yep.
And once we get over that and they practice it, then they can zing them in there. So anyway, we're progressing. And then the groups are staying about the same, and they're registering the center of the 3-round group about 4 o'clock. on a golf ball size bull.
Oh, nice.
So we just corrected him a
Nice.
little bit and brought him in there a little bit and
Sweet.
a little bit more. You just take it a little bit, and then by using the Marine Corps method of sighting in your rifle,
Mhm.
there's an acronym that goes with that, and it's called BRASS. Probably Don covered that.
Mhm.
Breathe, relax, aim, stop, squeeze. Now, I always tell people to press the trigger,
Yeah.
not squeeze the trigger, because they tend to squeeze the whole gun and there's
Sure.
more movement. But brass sounds a lot cooler than brass. Okay,
It does.
so we just say, all right, it's brass, but remember,
Yeah,
instead
you got a
of a
list
squeeze,
there.
it's gonna be a press. And after listening, I mean, he listened so well, and he did exactly as he was instructed. And he brought in a group the size of a dime on the bull.
Wow.
And I said, we shall do this no more. The rest is up to you to maintain that group.
Yep.
And his grandfather was so pleased.
Wow.
Oh
That's
man,
incredible.
that was an aha moment.
I love it.
That's why this is such a satisfying job.
Mhm.
No longer, training
Yeah.
all the foreign troops overseas and police forces and all that, but actually working with American teens
Yep.
who have a future.
Hey, Jen.
They have
Hey,
they
Kiki.
have guidance.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it sounds like we have a good military candidate for future, especially with that much precision and dedication to doing the right thing. And I love my grandfather. It touches my heart. My grandfather taught me how to shoot. I mean, there's no better bonding for a grandfather and a grandson to really go out and learn hunting in general, but to shoot and just do an activity together. I fished with my grandfather for forever, and being able to do that together is invaluable across the board.
Yeah, it was
So,
a wonderful time.
yeah.
Wonderful time.
So I have some facts for everyone today, and I know we touched a little bit last week with Invictus Safe. Invictus Safe came out. Tom, you weren't here, but we actually had a really, really cool company out here that's just doing a startup. We had them on Dream Home Experts the prior week before. Loved them so much, really aligned with the show. Brought them in, and they brought some displays. These are 14 gauge military grade strength bulletproof, ballistic proof, not bulletproof, which is same thing, a little bit stronger.
Armored shadow boxes.
Armored shadow boxes that you can display your firearms on, and it has hidden spots in the back of it for bullets and magazines and everything else, so that it's functional for a person's home. So his idea around it is if you have, and it's not just for guns, it's for whatever you want to display that's valuable that you want to keep in a safe. So if you have a pair of 1911s that are Kimber 1911s costing, $4,000 that are matching set and numbered and, special edition, whatever, you can display them on the wall. Right. The nice thing
your
is that
1845 Colt 45.
Exactly. Something your grandfather gave, something, invaluable to you. You can mount it on the wall and it goes into studs, which I found out one stud holds 1,000 pounds of weight on, by the way. So I had some really cool facts last week. I was really happy about it. I did some major research before this, which was really cool. And you mount it on the wall. It's got LEDs inside of it and everything else. You can put in dehumidification inside there too, so it keeps the humidity levels correct. And it's got LEDs, but it's got a special locking mechanism that is not easily picked. And so there's two guys. One's more of the design guy, and the other guy was the engineer. This guy uses locks from cars, like the car locks, for the inside of the case itself. And they use these special keys that are in there too. It was incredible. For those who didn't check it out, check out the last show. So cool to listen to what he had. And it would look great in On Target's display.
Okay.
So,
right.
and we did talk to him about you and On Target, obviously, with that as well, because it would be something, a good collaboration to work with, because just a different way of displaying stuff that you really care about. And it's an eye catcher and a conversation starter. And I love conversation.
For everybody out there, too, On Target does a great job of making sure that it's clean, it's sanitized, COVID safe.
Yep.
Yeah. We even installed a new communication system from one side of the plexiglass to the other. I mean, you would like to hear this. This is really
you see my face?
Cutting edge
Woo!
Communication, because sometimes it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
For the people behind the plexiglass, and we're going to keep those things up. Not just for COVID, but common colds,
Yeah.
flu.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great idea!
Which
who would have thunk it?
Yeah,
you know?
we're
But
kind of
anyway,
gross
but-
for many
Truly,
years.
yeah.
but some of our older customers have a hard time hearing the
Yeah.
guy who's ringing them up. So we're going, huh? What? I go, hey, use our high-tech communication system. And it's 2 cans with a string that goes through the plexiglass. And I tell them, make sure that you speak loudly into the can. Okay.
I love
I'm
that.
so going there.
I
Check it
love
out.
it.
It's so awesome.
You got to be over 60 to get it.
I love it. Motion sensor alarms are in the works for next year. Gen boxes, right?
Next
yes,
gen boxes,
exactly.
yeah.
Yep. Yes, there is motion sensors on there. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
So I brought out some facts real quick. Tom, I'm going to throw some facts out about Illinois itself. I'm going to throw some facts out about the United States in general. And for those of you in the comments, I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'm going to jump in because I really like our audience to on Facebook to jump in and answer these questions if you can. State of Illinois is not as small as I thought it was. It's a weird shaped state, and it's super long, right? 57,915 square miles. State of Illinois. And Tom's like, whoa, what's the state of Texas? I don't know.
Where's this going?
Yeah.
So of that,
A lot of square miles.
and we focused on 10 most shooting incidences in the state of Illinois in 2020. So
Top
these
10
are
cities.
top 10 cities.
Yeah.
Yep. So because we're going to kind of jump into 2 different sides of this because I really want to. My biggest point I'm trying to get to is 2020 versus 2021. So post pandemic versus pandemic, right? So we were on lockdown last year, meaning that essential workers should have been the only ones on the roads for a period of time, right? So we didn't, and there was it was actually really nice to drive to work every day. There was not that many cars out. There was not that many people out. There were set times for when elderly people had to go to the grocery store. There were set times for different curfews, and events weren't happening, and music festivals weren't happening. Basically, all the events were canceled last year.
Yeah, but now remember, in Cook County, you know, gangbangers are essential workers. Okay. That kind of throws.
Based on those numbers, you might be right. So last week I focused on 10 places. So number 9 was Kankakee. Number 8 was Peoria. Metropolis was number 7. Rockford was number 6. Springfield is number 3. Okay. And I'm just going to go through the list right now because I want to kind of dive into more of it. Danville was number 1. And surprisingly enough, we talked in the green room today about this. Mount Vernon is number 1. And Tom said the same thing I did when I was researching this. So I verified this through 5 different websites, 5 different gun tracking shooting websites, because there's a lot of those tracking ones out there. But I like to cross-reference things because everyone has different ways of, for example, definition of a mass shooting. You know, is it 3 people? Is it 4 people? Is it what's the clarification on that? Mount Vernon, it was number 1. And in that city, there was 33 crimes per square mile in that city.
Just crimes, not shooting.
So overall, so crimes. So this was break-ins. It was really more designated to thefts. Top 3 most dangerous cities in Illinois: Mount Vernon, Danville, and Springfield. Mount Vernon has a high violent crime rate of 15.35 per 1,000 residents. So 15 people out of 1,000 is some kind of crime. These are violent crimes, by the way. So I want to clarify that. So break-ins with injuries, shootings, rape, murder. So those are the categories that was listed on these websites on there as well. Property crime rate of 52.06 per 1,000 on there too. So 52 homes got broken in per 1,000. It's a nasty number.
Yeah.
It's a scary number. And we brought it up for obviously the safe purposes because there's, Mount Vernon probably should invest in some heavy security. I don't know what.
And Mount Vernon is where?
Mount Vernon is super south. So we looked it on the map because I actually didn't know where it was either.
Right.
And I had to do some research. So it's about an hour east of St. Louis, Missouri. That's it. It's about an hour. It might be even less than that, like 45 minutes. But it's almost at the furthest south tip of Illinois. And I don't understand why. So my next part of this next week is going to really dive into that town itself and figure out like what the reasonings are. Is there high crime rates, or is there gangbangers out there trying to claim territory? But this isn't the first time Mount Vernon has been on this list in the top categories. So this is year over year that we continue to have these kind of issues. So there's a couple things out there as well. 2020 gave way to the most single deadliest day in Chicago in modern history. And I love these words, by the way. You know, as you do research, they say modern history. So then I just typed in and did my research on the deadliest day in Chicago itself. That's it. And just keep it that way. And they kept saying modern times. Well, modern times is defined by 1978 and forward.
Yeah, they omit the Fort Dearborn Massacre.
Yeah.
1804.
So we're like, you know, again, it just comes back to news media trying to, you know, throw in different ways of selling, you know, oh, it's the deadliest in modern new age time. Like, you're going to add on these little adjectives and everything that you do to kind of make it the deadliest. And it was also the worst. And it was on May 31st of 2020. This was due to the fact of rioters and protestings looting and spurring up the George Floyd killing by Minnesota officer. Obviously, there was 18 murders in 24 hours. 18 murders in 24 hours. It was a bad day for Chicago, right? And so then I dug into further, right? So I really went crazy on this because now I'm really trying to like dig into the whys, right? So of those 18 murders during that specific day, guess how many were legal gun owners?
0.
Kent, you got a number on that one?
18 murders, you said?
18 murders one day. There's a lot more shootings that happened that day, but 18 murders.
I will say there were 9 legal gun owners.
0 registered firearms used in those killings of the ones that they found. So there's like 3 of them that they're unsolved. They have no idea what it is. Okay. They don't even know what, you know, whatever it is. Unsolved is what I'm going to say.
So why does that matter?
So we're talking about legal gun ownership, and we're talking about that fight around what constitutes us to have guns.
Hey, Jemima.
Hey, Jemima. These aren't legal registered gun owners doing the shootings.
Gun violence is gun violence.
100% true. So you're going to put restrictions on the people that want to defend our family with people who are doing stuff that's illegal that shouldn't own a firearm.
Well, because they know that we'll pay the taxes, we'll pay the revenue, we'll pay for licensing, we'll pay for application fees.
Yep.
So why not go to us? Why not go to the lawful citizen who is a gun owner? Because they know we'll pay up.
So do we have a problem with guns, or do we have a problem with the people who hold the guns? That's the point.
The illegal people who hold the guns. The illegal people who hold the illegally obtained guns.
There's a lot of illegal in there.
This is a no-brainer for us.
There could be legal people. It's just they hold the guns illegally. Right?
Legal people? Well,
they could be.
They're here legally.
Right.
Yeah, they could be here.
They could be legal people. Not have gun legal.
Wow, we just had a 5-minute conversation on legal.
Yeah. No.
Define legal.
Well, yeah.
Define legal, yes.
So that's where pro-gun owners, right? And people, law-abiding citizens who register their firearms and things, that's where they always go. Is they say, well, how many were legal? Doesn't matter. It's still gun violence.
Sure.
Right? It's still a gun. It's still somebody pressing the trigger, and because they don't know how to use it, killing people.
Yeah. So then my core root of how that looks at and what I think about that. And so not only I don't disagree with you when it comes down to like gun violence, but I have to disagree on the fact that illegal versus legal is a big difference, because one, we need to figure out where that gun that was used in a murder and used by an individual that shouldn't have it, where'd that come from? How did it get into the system where it's so easily and readily available to be able to just walk down the street and pick up a gun and walk away? What's that?
You can print them now.
Seriously, yeah. Right. I talked about that like I think 2 months ago, where I literally somebody joined that actually scared me a little bit just because it was 3D printed guns, and they were literally giving a tutorial on how to do that kind of stuff. Which, number one, all I can think about, whether it's federally correct or not in any way, shape, or form, is not what I want to talk about. But what I want to talk about is the safety part of that thing could kill you if it's not designed and built properly. And a 3D printed gun off a $100 printer is probably not good. So Jemiah's got a thing to say here. So dare I say, should we even have to pay registration fee, application fees, FOID, etc. because freedom? No. I mean, if you want to really talk about Second Amendment, it doesn't say anything about paying registration fees. You just have the right to bear arms. That's it. It's not, there's no questions about it. There's no, and Pete changed my mind on that hardcore.
So then let's talk about these illegal guns, air quotes.
Yep.
They have the right to have a gun.
Great. So if there was no registration fees, no FOIDs, no anything like that, what do you think that those murders would have happened? Because it was easier and more inexpensive to buy a firearm off of there as well. So maybe the people that needed to defend themselves couldn't afford it because the registration fees were too expensive and they were down in their luck, but they wanted to protect their family, but they couldn't because they couldn't afford it. So they either have to choose eating or protecting their family. So illegal or legal doesn't matter to me when it comes down to the death of somebody, because at the end of the day, that person's dead. And could we have saved this person by not having registration fees?
Well, then let's go a different direction then.
Sure.
How many of those deaths where I was protecting my gang or my family? How many of those deaths were protecting? I felt threatened, so I killed those people.
So define threatening.
That's what I'm saying. Well, you have it for protection. So let's say I obtained it. I have the right to obtain it. That's my Second Amendment right.
Sure.
No matter how I obtained it.
Yep.
I've been in prison 8 times. I can't go in and buy one. I still have the right to defend my family with it, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we say.
Yeah, but in our
so of those, how many were in defense of the? Well, how many of those killings that you said were in defense?
The 18 on that specific day. I don't have the numbers for them, but I mean, we can stipulate that they're still not registered guns, so they have ill intention. It's like somebody who drives around with no insurance is a little more dangerous, not as cautious as somebody who drives with insurance that's trying to keep the rates down.
Yeah, but remember, they are not registered. We don't register in the state.
Yeah,
I mean, we're registered. If you're a gun owner,
sure,
you're registered. Your gun isn't registered. But we're dealing with people who are not registered and they can't own a firearm. All right, so let's get back to where these are coming from. Most of them are stolen. There's a big pipeline coming from the south. A lot of them are drug guns. In the drug trade, guns are oftentimes used as currency. So, okay, throw this in. I want this much in cash, and I want a couple ARs, and I want a couple handguns. Okay, high capacity handguns, whatever. So, and a lot of them are straw sale guns and are purchased by people who are willing. They don't have a record. They were able to get, let's say, a FOID or even a driver's license in other states surrounding us where you could buy a gun with a driver's license. Sure. They still do a background check on them, but nothing comes back. They're clean, but they're willing to take that chance to sell a $500 gun or a $250 high point for $750 or $1,000 to gangbangers who have the drug money to pay for it. So they're willing to take the chance. I mean, we have a couple gun stores on the fringe of Chicago that they're hit hard. Father Flager and all these guys who are protesting in front of these gun stores because a lot of people go there and they get their guns. They're legal. They do a check on them, but they're willing to take that chance and then sell it to a criminal.
So I guess the relevance to what I'm assuming your point is coming down, it doesn't matter if they're legal, there's the guns in general. I recently went to Arizona this year, and actually I went to Arizona twice this year. And I got to go to the Baer Arms out there too. And it was totally cool because number one, it's my last name, which is awesome. But the second part of it, the swagger that these people had. Tom, I had a couple guys in there that were old ex-military guys. Not saying you're old. I'm just saying older in general, more wiser than we are.
What does George Carlin say? And when he sees some guy, I'm 70 years young.
Yeah, it's true.
No, man, you're old, dude.
That's right.
So stop it with this balance of nature. I feel like 10 Grinches plus 2. You might, but you're still old. Sorry. I'm proud of being an old guy. It shows that I've been able to survive
for
true. 62 years.
Especially awesome. The shit you've been through.
Yeah, seriously.
No, the worst, I used to have a motto when I was an agent with the government. I'd rather dodge bullets than emails any day of the week.
Any day of the week.
Okay.
Me too.
I will meet
True.
a quicker demise being covered in a cubicle in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So they're doing me a favor when they send me someplace that nobody wants to visit.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have Switzerland, if you have London, oh yeah, let's go see how he's doing over there and let's inspect him. Okay. All right. Well, when you're over in Lebanon or you're in Central America during a revolution, they don't want to come visit you yet.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I loved about Arizona was, number one, it's just Second Amendment. It's open carry, it's concealed carry. There's no anything. You can walk in and buy a gun the same day and walk out. And I was talking with the store owner and going through and obviously talking about the show and Chicago laws versus, Arizona laws. And it was so nonchalant because it was like, just, it's Second Amendment. That's it. It's open carry. Yeah, you can open carry if you want to. I'll just tell you that some, there's are some parts of Arizona, Phoenix area, that is more anti-gun than pro-gun, will get uncomfortable and might call the police on you because you're carrying an open carry. But concealed carry is what we recommend. And I said, oh, that's phenomenal. So I'm assuming that everyone has a gun, on them. And he goes, well, I can just tell you right now that any grocery store you walk into, the little old grandma that's in there, I guarantee you she's got some kind of firearm in her purse or on her persons and knows how to use it. It's so weird, the feeling that I had in Arizona last time I went, because honestly, I felt safe. I felt safe because there was not a lot of this questions around like who's carrying, who's not carrying. If there was some type of, and I will be pulling numbers very shortly here for Arizona mass shootings versus Illinois for mass shootings, because I do want to get that data because I actually have the Illinois mass shootings for last year and a year before. I felt safe. Because number one, the culture that's been there, the understanding is that everyone has a gun, but at the same time, now we walk into the conversation you just said, that guy's got an illegal gun. Well, grandma on the corner has a legal gun and is ready to use it and knows how to use it and can defend whatever possible mass shooting or whatever shooting is going to occur on that street corner because she knows she has to protect herself and her family. That's the difference. So those questions are what raised my question inside is, okay, it's illegal versus legal. I get it, but making it almost unobtainable, and you want to follow the law because obviously we're not outlaws. We want to make sure we do what's right for our country, but we can't afford it.
Here's the issue as I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever it is, whatever big town, wherever there's a lot of gun violence, quote unquote, I'll say gun violence. I don't even like saying gun violence because the guns, as we've shown on this show, are not the ones doing the violence, right?
You talk shit to my AR.
So we've allowed it to happen.
For sure.
Right. And when I say we, the police, the government, the institutions have allowed it to happen. Every weekend you see 70, 80 shootings in Chicago.
Sure.
Right. 12, 10, 15 fatally shot. There's ways to make it come to a stop, but we choose not to. And it's not about gun. I don't think it's stiffer gun laws, but you know what? Here's an idea. Let the National Guard put the Army, put some Marines down where this is happening, right? And watch it stop.
Yep.
Right. When the Marines leave, guess what happens? People are climbing on planes trying to get out of a country. So there you go. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. I think we've allowed it to happen in major cities. We know that the governmental bodies will say, if we can control it keep it in this area or this general facility, then we're okay. Now, if it bleeds out here to the burbs, hold on just a second.
Oh yeah, you hit the wrong town.
Now it's a big different, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's stiffer gun laws. I don't, and it just people that are violent using guns, mm-hmm. we allow it to happen. That's all. And then we everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. So we sell, oh, hey, look at this crazy guy, mass shooting, and we throw it everywhere. And somebody's like, oh, I could get on the news if I do that. and they want their 15 minutes of fame. So I think we've created the beast and we've allowed it to happen.
Yep.
Right. Whether you're a gun guy or you're not a gun guy, I think there comes a time where we have to look in the mirror and go, okay, enough's enough. We've allowed it. Now we have to stop it.
Let's look at the ratio, and that's all great points, well taken. Let's look at a ratio between active gang members and police officers in Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. They're outnumbered about 5-1.
Yep. Yeah. The police are. Yeah.
Okay. Now you look at the gang members. That is their family. That's a new family.
That's right.
I mean, the whole thing comes back to, well, did they have a father figure in their life and that sort of thing? So they embrace the gang. Okay. Well, part of being a gang member is inflicting damage on other gang members.
Right.
So it's almost a rite of passage to get your street creds to inflict violence on other gang members. And it's gang on gang, a lot of it.
Got to be a made man.
That's right. They're smart enough to know you come out here to the suburbs where you have so many other gun owners, legal gun owners, who know how to shoot, not gangsta style. I mean, that's
know how to shoot.
One of the reasons why. I mean, it's a lot of gang on gang, and unfortunately, you have the innocent people caught in the crossfire.
Yep.
You know, there was a time at On Target where I really wanted to go to the far south side and find in a church. There was a pastor there who had a number of scared, good constituents who want to defend themselves, but they don't have the money to afford the concealed carry training. They don't have the money to afford the application. So I said, I'll go there. I'll give you free. All right. I'll give you free concealed carry training just so you could defend yourself. And then come on up. Day 1, I'll go there. Day 2, you come up on Target. We'll get a bus. We'll have someone. We'll charter a bus. We'll qualify you. Make sure you're safe. And you have a FOID card. A lot of people can get a FOID card. That's $10. And if you have a clean record, why not? Right? That's the whole idea of that thing. It's just to see right away. All right. Is this a vetted person or not? A lot of people don't like FOID. I'm not a fan. But for the quick, is he a good guy or no good guy? FOID card, right? For example, on the range, all right, you want to shoot, give us your FOID. We used to do that. I mean, give us your FOID. We put in a little slot, and you get it when you're done. That way, we know you don't abscond or anything like that, and we know that you're legally shooting, a gun, especially one of our rental guns. Okay, but anyway, the idea of training the people who need the training in those hostile neighborhoods. Okay, I've always wanted to do this, and I need some more support in how to do this. I wish we can get a number of people and go down there. Okay, well, I'll take the chance. We'll go down there and say, this is what we're going to do. You come on back here and we'll train you. And that way we're helping our brothers in those neighborhoods too, because we're all brothers by sense of mind and conviction and spirit. And I don't like those innocent people suffering down there because they're held hostage by these gang members who don't care. They want street creds. And in order to get it, they got to kill somebody, another gang member.
That's why I say this country went to heck when they took down the Italian mafia. When the Italian mafia ran the country, things were good. It's peaceful. You knew.
There's weird
in Mount Vernon,
weird burial marks all across the city, but everything was good.
Everything was good. You knew.
So I have 2 things. One, when's the last time you heard about the 1800s mass stabbings?
The what?
Correct. Okay. Have you ever heard of that before?
There's been 1,800 mass stabbings.
How would you know?
I don't.
Did you I mean,
I'm asking you.
I'm just saying, and I'm being rhetorical because at the same time, it's not about the gun; it's the people. It always has been. It always will be. You just said a second ago, when it comes down to, we know the areas, and we're gonna flood these people into that specific area, right? And we're gonna keep them there. We're gonna let gang violence happen in that area because, number one, here's where my heart hurts with this stuff, and you hit it perfectly, Tom. These areas that are literally constrained with gun violence and gang members, and the property values have gone down so much. I just squeaked. I'm getting passionate about this. The people that live there are low income families. Okay. It's the consensus across the board. Gun violence is very high. Gang violence is very high in low income areas, and property values are almost none. They're horrible. And they keep rotating. And then that property gets bought out. Investors come in.
Yeah.
Yep. And they turn the city around. It becomes a great city and everything gets blown up. And now it's a high end city with really expensive stuff. And somebody makes $1 million. So that's the back end of that, right?
Yep.
Here's the families in there that can't afford because they're new family or they're going through hard times that have to live in this area because that's the only place that they can afford. Downtown Chicago is not cheap. It's super expensive. The suburbs around Chicago, Cook County, Lake County, there's some of these places that literally the houses that are selling in those areas cost just the same as the taxes for 1 year in the areas that we live in the suburbs. And that's not me, by the way. I don't have a house like that. But there's houses that are selling for 50, 60 grand or 30 grand that literally are taxes in 1 year in the suburbs. Why don't we police these areas that we know gang violence is happening? And it literally, like, if you're a normal citizen, I don't have any gang activities. I don't have any weird past stuff like that. When it comes down to literally, you know the area and we just ignore it. So whose fault's that? Where does that come from? Is it the police chief? I guarantee you it's not, because the police chief's annoyed because he's got to send his officers into a dangerous area that he knows is dangerous. You always hear those cops. When I first moved to Chicago, I lived in an apartment building, and it wasn't in the greatest place because me and my wife were just starting to be together. It was our first apartment. We were broke, all right, literally we had to call the police because the upstairs neighbor lit her boyfriend's clothes on fire on the stove and threw them out the window. And my Doberman at the time was going nuts, and he never goes nuts. He was a very well behaved dog, because the front lawn was on fire. and I walk over, I'm like, Dobbs, what's going on, buddy? Like, I've never seen you act like this before. And I'm like, door's all shut, nobody's knocking on the door, and I see smoke. And I'm like, oh. So I open the window, the blinds on it. I'm like, holy cow, there's a fire out front on the lawn. The building isn't on fire. And you hear this crazy lady banging and screaming and kicking and da-da-da-da. And so, cops get called. The lady gets arrested. The cops are talking to me and everything else. It's like, you need to move. You're too nice. You're too nice of a person to be here, and you care about too many things, and you're just not the kind of person that lives in an area like this. I'm like, well, I don't know if you've seen rent around the area. My cell phone got turned off last week, so I don't have any money for extra rent right now. Like, I'm trying to build who I am right now. It's just not going to happen. And he's like, yeah, this is a known area for problems and guns and prostitution. And I'm going,
yeehaw!
What corner is that on?
That's right.
No, but I'm just saying, the area. You physically know where it is. You literally just told me, but you just ignore it. It's fine. Just let it happen. I just need that answer. Like, why are we ignoring it? Why is that happening? Where's it coming from? Who's doing it? Who's controlling it? And whose decision is it to make it money? So
those people aren't paying the salaries.
Yes.
Of the city and the mayor.
Oh, dun dun dun.
Okay, they're not paying not paying the salaries of them. Who's paying the salaries of people who can afford to pay that?
Yep.
The people who can afford to pay the property tax.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So they're going to get top billing, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. We got an issue, and the lower income people, there's to defend themselves like any sport. Okay, we talk about the shooting sports, right? Uh-huh. It's a sport, yes. When you're not defending yourself, it's a sport.
Yep.
Right? I mean, here you are going to range. Let's look at the buy-in. Okay, you want concealed carry? That can run anywhere from $100 to $300 for the class. Sure. $150 for the application. Most people don't have that disposable income.
Correct.
Then you got to buy the gun. Okay, you want a good gun or you want a high point? Okay, you want a good gun? All right, that's $550.
Gun.
Right. All right. So now we got ammo. And now we got more training, and then we go trip to the range. So there's, when you add everything up, gas money to get to the range.
$3,000.
That's $1,500 for a low income family for a buy-in.
Yep. And Jen, we're gonna jump on your question here. Do you want to read it off?
Yeah. So Jen says, do you think if there's more of an emphasis on taking care of each other, citizens uplifting citizens, communities helping neighboring communities, much like the pandemic lockdown food pantry mass distributions. Would gun crimes subside? Basic needs being met type of thing.
I'm just going to throw it out there, Jen. Yes. To answer your question, yes. In my eyes and how things can be fixed, how things can be presented, is we have people like Tom who care, number one, about those areas, that care that, he understands that people can't afford certain things at the time that they're at. And hopefully they can get themselves out of that rut. And that's America, right? You can figure it out. You can not figure it out. But at the end of the day, you're still living, you're still free. And that's a key word here, free. There is opportunities in our communities. I have a strong belief community has left our word vocabulary so badly. We don't have community. And I've lived in 30 states. Okay. I've lived all across the country. I've lived in different parts of the city, different parts of the country. When I first came to Chicago, and I lived in a town called Skokie, and my first place that I walked into was an apartment building. It was right next to Old Orchard Mall. And I was all excited because it's the first time I've ever been to Illinois. It's the first time I ever was in the Chicagoland area. And I was excited. I heard a lot about Chicago. I was excited when my, uppers told me I was going to Chicago. I got all excited. I walked in, I moved in, packed all my stuff in, and my neighbor was walking out the door. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? My name's, Derek. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm from New York. And his face, number one, was scared. And by the way, this was 15 years ago. Okay. Scared out of his mind. Scared shitless. He walks back in his house, in his apartment, slams the door. And I go, maybe I came over quick. I'm a pretty forward guy. Okay, maybe it was just this one dude. Okay, maybe I just scared him. I'm big. Obviously, I'm not the smallest dude in the world. And, I could be a little powerful when I talk to people because I'm passionate about it. And I get really excited because I'm just an excitable person. So I let a couple days go by, talk to another neighbor. No. It walks away from me. Walks out the door. Didn't even say hi. I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm your new neighbor. No. You were much smaller then. Thanks, babe.
It was cold.
It was wintertime. It was cicada. It was summer. Walked right out of there. Left. And by the way, this is a nice part of Skokie. This is a nice area. This apartment building was actually not. I mean, the apartment building was okay.
Right over by the Old Orchard Mall.
It was not cheap rent. Like it was not in a bad area whatsoever. What I found out really quickly was Illinois was about themselves, and this isn't across the board. And here's the caveat to where that kind of plays in, because what I found out is as I got further away from the city, right, and further away from highly populated areas, the niceness of people came out again. And I was like, oh, okay. One of the reasons why we moved our business from the area that it was to Algonquin is, number one, the people out here are so much better. They're friendly. They're talkative. If I blow a flat tire in the car, I know I got somebody at least that's going to stop. If I crash my motorcycle, I know somebody's actually going to stop and help me. In the city, I'm pretty sure I'd get run over and just kept going. We've lost the humility of what people are as general in certain areas where they just like, oh, that's the way of life. Yeah. A perfect case and example is one of our employees. We moved from an area he was scared to walk his kid on walks every day. He literally could not walk his kid down the street. His wife would have to stay home every day until he got home from work just to go grocery shopping, just to go to the car, just to take the daughter to the park. Literally had to wait till he got home to do that. Moved him out here to Cary. Amazing town, Cary. Love Chamber of Cary. You guys do a great job. Everything about Cary. Cary's my hidden little gem I talk about all the time because it's just nice. Got railroad tracks, really cute downtown area. Old money. This dude, he literally, I can't remember. It was probably 6 months ago. He called me on the phone. Hey, I just want to let you know, like, thank you. I'm like, thank you for what, man? Like, thank you. You freaking work hard every day. You're a beast of a tech. You're an amazing person. And he's like, my wife and my daughter went on their first walk today, and there was absolutely no incidences. I'm like, oh, incidences? Like, you literally call them incidences, dude. Holy cow, man. Holy cow. And it had to take a moment because it was almost touching to just not understand the fact that there's towns and areas that people live in that literally cannot go outside. His daughter lost a bunch of weight. His wife lost a bunch of weight. He's active more. His life's happy. He feels good every day. Those things are invaluable. And I guess growing up the way I guess I grew up, and I didn't grow up in any kind of money at all. But we grew up in a nice enough town to be safe where I could ride my bicycle every day and not have to worry about getting shot. You take those things for granted. But what worked in those communities? What's different from here, right? Where I feel like we have a pretty good sense of community. We have a pretty good sense of friendliness. Tom, I'm sure if I saw you on the street and never met you before and I saw you in a gun store, as I have in the past, you're friendly. You're nice. You know, what happened with that? So to answer a super long-winded question here with Jen, I 100% think if we focus on the core values of what community means and what community is, and that really starts from each mayor. It really does, because the mayor really does control what happens down and can set standards in the town, creating events, working with local chambers, working with local businesses to create this culture around we're a community where we care about each other. If we see something that we shouldn't, we should call the police, and the police should come out and investigate and arrest the bad people. That's how we're going to get rid of cartels and gangbangers and everything else.
Can you name your mayor?
I can. Actually, I had a meeting with her a couple of months ago. Debbie is her name. And I can name my hometown, which is Beverly Sussman. And I listen to her every single month on there too.
Wayne Jet.
The reason why
there you go, Wayne Jet.
The reason why I asked that is that I don't think a lot of people who live out here could really name their mayor.
Sure.
They really don't know the city.
Yep.
We're attached to the big picture of politics and voting and the mayors themselves. Unless you're in the inner circle, you really don't follow that. So maybe it would be a better idea for some mayors to forge that sense of community, that elusive sense of community that you're talking about, and in every place.
Yep. I mean, I'm actually Facebook friends with my hometown mayor, and my dad rented a building from the mayor herself. And my hometown is a small hometown. It's got a lake in it and stuff like that. It's really pretty. But we had a big sense of community, and we're prideful. Our Canandaigua, we're the home of the Braves. That's what our slogan was in high school. And I still remember it to this day. I still proudly wear my Canandaigua stuff. I still proudly walk into Canandaigua, and it's changed tremendously over the years since I've been home. For good or bad is not my decision. My family lives there. But I think you're right. I mean, I think you should ask those questions and see what your mayor's doing and see what towns are doing.
As long as there's guns, there's going to be
violence.
And here's why. Back in the 70s, gangs would beat each other up with baseball bats. That's what they did.
There you go.
Right. Or we take you and we wrap you up in a.
This is the Italian time.
Yeah, and we would beat you to death, right? Guns are a little bit easier. So I'll go back to what you said earlier, Tom. Is the basic thing that has to be done is we have to be able to stand up and say, I know where these guns are coming from. I know how you're getting them there, and we've got to stop it.
There's a pipeline.
Absolutely. And we know. I mean, our government can find a man in a hole in the Middle East.
Thank you. Yeah. And pull them out and then fly them over the water. And yeah, exactly.
We know where people are getting these guns from. We know the containers they're coming in from. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So but what happens is we like that divisiveness. Hey,
well, some people make a lot of money off
Yes, right.
And keep it going.
And I can stay in. I can get reelected. I can stay in if I know that I got the anti-gunners on my side, or I know I've got the gunners on my side, right? So the bottom line is, if you have, we'll take a look at this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We acted quickly. Got a bunch of tests. Got people vaccinated. We're starting to learn more about this, right? And if we didn't act swiftly, perhaps it would be worse. Perhaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing is when we as a country want to move and make things happen, we tend to get it done
if we care about it.
if we care about it.
And if it's the benefit of someone's pocketbook.
Right. So,
Sorry.
so again, you kind of follow the money. But going back to Tom's point is you got a tourniquet on the flow of illegal guns.
100%. How many murders happened in 2019? You guys know that? I know it's like stupid.
In the country? Or?
Nope, in Chicago.
In Chicago. 8,100.
Murders.
Yeah.
Murders. This is gun murders, by the way. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Not just murders in general. Murders used by guns is what I'm trying to say.
In 2020.
2019.
2019. Oh, we're going to go back to 794.
Okay.
That's your final answer?
Yeah, that's it.
He changed it like 20 times.
All right. I'll say it's up above 1,000.
Above 1,000. Okay. 506.
I was ahead.
With guns. So murder with guns. Used in guns. Whether it's murder, it's case closed.
Yeah.
2020. Pandemic. Lockdown. 2020. I'm just going to call it pandemic lockdown 2020 because 2020 should have been locked down. We should have been locked down.
Now I'm over 1,000.
Okay.
700.
Oh my gosh. 774. You're pretty close. Okay. 774. We have no events. We have no parades. We have nothing that's supposed to be happening right now other than riots. So, and by the way, so we just talked about earlier, May 31st, 2020, rioting, there's 18 of that 774 higher than the 550 that was in 2019.
All right, is this in the state or
this is city of Chicago.
City of Chicago.
City of Chicago. These are murders with guns. So this isn't like murders in general or gun shootings. I have those numbers too. It's really lengthy because
well, let me tell you how I
subcategories
got my
too much.
figure. I mean, 365 days a year.
Yep.
Let's look at the average. If there's just 3 murders a day.
Yep.
Okay, we're up over 1,000.
Yep.
So that's what I was.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of banking on him, a little bit surprised. I mean, not.
But you went the state. He was thinking Chicago.
No, he was going Chicago too.
I was looking at the math here.
Right.
Yeah, and your math's not incorrect because there's probably is more than 1,000 murders a year. Murders, right? So stabbing, shooting, that has now not. The shooting itself hasn't killed somebody, but then 4 days later they die because of a gunshot. They don't. I think they consider that something. I think it's murder by internal bleeding or whatever it is on there as well. So of this, the other part of this, the overall shooting incidents skyrocketed in 2020 versus 2019. So this is the city of Chicago. Now this is where the numbers get real crazy for me. So 2019, how many shootings do you think happened in the city of Chicago? Now, I'm not talking about murders. I'm just straight up talking about
8,100.
Literally shootings that happened.
Yeah, now we're into the 1,000.
Okay, cool. 2,120 shootings.
Oh, only 2,000?
2,000. This is just.
I'm surprised. Only 2,000.
But this is perception, right?
Yeah.
And this is media stuff because you think all the time. But this is also just city of Chicago. So I want to be very clear of this because it's not state of Illinois. I can pull that numbers up in a second if you want. But city of Chicago. Now, in 2020, how many shootings were there in city of Chicago again? Same.
There was a
parameters.
20% increase, so 20%.
I'm going to say hovering somewhere above 2,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
3,237.
Wow.
I've been surprised. Literally, I'm in shock in different ways because, if anything, of all the shootings and all the metrics, right? So we want to talk about metrics and numbers and everything else.
You but your target. I mean, if you're breaking the law, you're a banger. I mean, your target. He's gonna. They are gonna be in that house. They can't go anywhere.
We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
A pandemic.
Yeah.
It should be super simple to see who is supposed to be there and who is not supposed to be there. There is an emergency, literally essential employees only. I literally had to sign documentation for my guys
so they could travel.
So they could travel in their work trucks, logo. They literally were making sure that our vehicles were logoed because they didn't want just random white vans walking around. Now, mind you, this is the suburbs we're talking about. Did that same thing happen in the areas that these happen? It's okay to riot, okay? When did that be okay? when did that become acceptable?
It is.
Okay. So I guess my whole point to all of this is shootings are going to happen.
Yeah.
But we're restricting the people that can defend our country and defend our freedoms by restricting them by making gun laws harder. You make things harder and less affordable, we now are potentially not defending the areas that we need to defend.
And making the people who are defending the criminal.
Or
yeah, because maybe they picked up a gun because they can't afford it, but they need to protect themselves, and that becomes now a statistic that you're the bad guy. Actually, I'm really a good guy. I just can't afford to be. I'm a good guy, but I can't afford to be the good guy. So
I can't afford to be a legal good guy.
A legal good guy.
Right.
But I actually am a really good guy, and I just defended. Oh, by the way, I shot 3 gangbangers, and I saved my family, but I'm going to jail for the rest of my life while my kids are going to be in foster care, and whatever's going to happen because of their psychological mental state is now going to be.
You didn't have a FOID.
Because you couldn't get a FOID because you couldn't afford it.
You're going to jail.
And you didn't have a computer because you can't do that. And you go to a public library, and everyone's going to jump into that. Like, oh, you can go to public library. There's so many assistants and stuff like that. There's no assistance to say, hey, I need to buy a gun. Can you help me out?
Right.
There's no government assistance that says, hey, you know what? There's a program for you. You're on Section 8 and you want a firearm? Great. We're going to drop that FOID card price in half, and we're going to drop the concealed carry rate down in half. And by the way, we're going to cover your concealed carry class so that we know that you make sure you know what you're doing, so we can let guys like this weed out the people that should not be carrying.
You know what? This happens probably every other class. And I tell all the students, I mean, not just, people who can't take the class because they don't have a FOID. You have to have a FOID to get your concealed carry, right? But at the same time, almost every other class, there's someone there. I take them aside, say, you know what, you're not ready for this.
Yeah.
You're not ready for this because you have lack of cognizance of where that barrel is pointing. Okay. And I tell them straight up, I say, there's 2 ways to get bounced out of the class. Number one, objectively, there's the qual. You can't put 22 holes on that paper, whatever the state police is demanding. Okay, then you're not getting in. You don't deserve to have a gun.
Right.
You're going to be a menace.
There's a reason Barney Fife only had 1 bullet.
And other times, it's because of lack of cognizance of barrel direction.
Yeah.
And I get flagged. They flag me. So I got a couple of minutes. You want me to finish up with something?
Yeah. So, thank you.
Here.
All right. Great conversation. Our hours obviously going through. Tom's got a couple events that he is going to talk about, and make sure you pay attention to. Go ahead. Shoot away, Tom.
All right. Okay. What we have going now, if you look at the On Target website, there's, and Kent drew it up right now. We have.
Look at that handsome devil.
At the top, he's my body double. He's a little thinner there, too. And I think that was like 10 years ago. Yeah. But we have, next to classes, we have something called a webinar. So this is very interesting, an interesting way to learn about guns. You sign up for a webinar, and you click either for the 365X, Zero Romeo, or you have the Geissele, okay? And it's only a 10-minute firearm review, but here's the advantage of that, is that we will randomly select some lucky participant to receive that gun upon the end of the webinar.
Really?
And the odds are in your favor. Come on.
It's only 30 seats, right?
I mean,
so we're signing up for these right now, right?
Limited to 30 seats, so you got a good
limited
chance.
30 seats.
So 1 in 30 shot.
1 in 30 chance of winning, of receiving, I say,
right.
The firearm in an appreciation for people signing up for the review.
Yep.
Okay. So that's something new that we're doing. It's something that
right. Again, your purchase is for the webinar, not for the firearm.
Is for the webinar. Right. We are just giving away a complimentary firearm.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lucky participant.
And when are these?
In thanks of signing up for our webinar.
Log in to book a seat, which is great. There you go. What's the dates for these?
Well, here's the thing. We will not run it until we have our 30 seats.
People.
Okay, cool.
And then we will announce to all participants, okay, we're going to run the webinar at this point.
Beautiful.
Nice.
So, and we'll have different guns are going to come up there, and different, who knows? It might
Do you
be
have a SIG right there?
Yeah.
You have a P365X for $35 at 30 seats.
That's
I'm
a great.
I'm taking 2 freaking classes. Kiki, I'm so sorry. I know you're watching right now, but
Signing up.
We're signing up for both these webinars.
So what do these webinars do? What then? They go over the guns, the ins and outs of these particular firearms? Or?
Right. We have Talking Hands.
Yep.
Mr. Hands. I mean, he's going to go ahead and he's going to tell you all about the gun.
Yeah.
Is it your hands?
Sorry?
Is it your hands?
No. I got a hand model. Okay. We have, I don't know. I mean, we haven't decided. We'll show the individual. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the idea is why it's just the hands, because that way people can focus on the gun. You see all these YouTube guys it's all about them.
Yeah.
We want it to be all about the gun. And, talk about the difference between the 365X and the regular SIG. I'm not going to tell you those differences. You got to, sign up for the webinar and see, hey, it's a great concealed carry gun. Okay, so what makes this one better? Why would I want to spend $35 to listen to someone talk about this gun? Well,
I think it's brilliant.
So what's the website that you go on to?
Webinar.
What's On Target's website?
On Target range will get you there.
Yeah.
And On Target range, Crystal Lake, and it'll get you there. And
it's under the tab webinar on there.
And there's a tab at the top, webinar.
Yeah. Perfect.
So click
if
on
you
that.
go to www.ontargetsite.com.
Targetsite.com, that'll get you there.
Or give them a call at 815-477-2020.
Beautiful.
And they can walk you through how to sign up for those webinars as well. I think that's a brilliant idea.
So cool. It's so affordable.
Yeah.
And you're learning stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting some.
It's like a little class. We were thinking about giving little diplomas too.
I love it. So what do we got for the Glock people out there?
It's a coming.
What is it?
It's a coming.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's called Glocktoberfest.
I love it.
Okay. I really wanted to do an Oktoberfest, and one of my guys, Jordan, I'll give him credit.
Nice.
He said, well, hey, you should call it, we're a gun store, call it Glocktoberfest. And I go, you know what? Brilliant.
Done.
Let's run with Glocktoberfest, October 2nd. It's all about Glocks.
That's so
all right.
cool.
We're going to be able, if you buy a Glock on that day, you get not just one range pass, you get 2.
Oh.
So that's a $40 to $50 value.
Yep.
So the mathematician in you could rapidly do the math and say, hey man, I just saved, $40, $50 if you shoot on pistol or rifle.
Yeah.
There's a little price difference.
Beautiful.
So it could be up to a $50 off your price. So we have a lot of Glocks that are going to be out there on display. Nice. And we're going to run a complimentary Glock cleaning class. Can you say that real fast?
Glock cleaning class.
Say it faster.
Glock cleaning class.
All right, good for you. I can't do it.
Oh, buddy, what do you got going over there?
And at 1:00, we're going to have brats to complement the whole theme of Glocktoberfest. We're going to have brats, and for those who already shot, you will have good German beer.
Good German beer, a little kraut. Oh. And when is this?
That sounds amazing.
This is when? September something?
This is October 2nd.
It's in October.
Well, a lot of Oktoberfest are at the end of September.
Yeah, they're drunk.
I know they are. I mean,
so this is in October. This
is actually in October 2nd.
October 2nd. That is my daughter's birthday. Beautiful.
Well, we can bring her in range. We can get her drunk.
Does she like bratwurst?
Yeah, she shoots. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she actually does.
That would be a good day to be at the range. It'd be fun. I'm giving out door prizes every 30 minutes. A little, range pass here or a hat or something. So it'll be a fun day at the range.
Tom, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. On Target, thank you so much, and appreciate all of you listening in.
That's it. Tomorrow, come on back for 6 a.m. for Mary Catherine's Power Hour playlist, followed by The Grounds, followed by Bridging Civil Tension, followed by the Success Journey podcast, followed by Dream Home Experts, followed by In the Know with Steph. Oh, I'm sorry. Followed by The Neighborhood Pulse, followed by In the Know with Steph and Joe, followed later by, you guys on live?
We are on live tomorrow.
Yeah. Dream Home Experts.
Radon conversation.
Radon conversation tomorrow. Big packed day tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. This has been 21.6 The Net. You've been caught in it. Bare Facts on Guns every Thursday.
Hoorah.